Hello and good morning. My name is Kubeir. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to our weekly roundup every Saturday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am your favorite host, Kubeir. And in today's broadcast, in today's session, we're going to talk about the regular in terms of the draws that have happened, in terms of the PNPs. We will briefly chat about the Express Entry and what we're looking forward to. And then obviously we will go on to answering your questions. As I can see, a lot of you already posted some of them. Just hold your questions until we get on to the question and answer segment. Then we will not be able to miss your questions. So starting very quickly with our presentation and starting with the quote of the week: you cannot make progress without making decisions. My favorite speaker, Jim Rohn, who's unfortunately no more, but if you ever get a chance, please do look him up. Please do search on him on the YouTube, on other platforms. He is such a wise man. You can really learn so much from him. But on this particular quote, you cannot make progress without making decisions. Until you have decided, until you have made the decision, obviously there is going to be no progress there. So do make your decisions, obviously, with a lot of thought in it. Canadian Immigration Weekly Roundup as we move forward: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. And in the PNP draws, starting with Manitoba, we did not cover it last time. It happened on the 4th of July. They invited 348 candidates to apply for the provincial nominations under the streams of skilled worker in Manitoba, skilled workers overseas, and international education stream. British Columbia also invited on the 5th of July. Again, we didn't cover this one in the last segment, so talking about it now. 128 people were invited. 100 of these were through the Cec Draw, 21 through the early childhood educators, and seven people were invited through the healthcare streams. Again, British Columbia, as I said, they conduct their draws quite regularly. So they conducted another draw on the 12th of July, invited another 132 candidates, and they continue to be very, very regular with their invitations. Saskatchewan was more of a big interest finally to a lot of people, because this is where a lot of you have created your portals, you have created your accounts. And this time, the excellent draw that happened, great draw that happened in this case, was they invited 627 candidates for the provincial nominations and the programs under their Express Entry stream and the OID, Occupation in Demand stream. But the good news in this particular case was the score actually, this is pretty tiny. Let me change to this one. Okay, the scores actually dropped to 69, which is great. But this is one of the reasons why the score dropped is because they chose to identify only a few knock codes. A lot of these knock codes are IT related, but there is also the segment of retail supervisors there, 0621. You have 0631, 0632, 0711, 2171, 2234, 2263, 2281, 2282. Again, tech support is there. 2171 is all your business analysts. Then you have 3212, 3214, 3217, 1937, 6211, 6221 again, your technical sales, 6312, 7284, 7305, 8252. So not too many NOC codes, as you can see. What do we have there? About 20 odd NOC codes. But the great news is that they invited a score at only of 69, which would give a big relief. So 430 candidates were invited in the Express Entry, and 195 who had an OID profile, Occupation in Demand profile. So for a lot of you who are wondering between the difference between the Express Entry stream and OID stream, people who have an Express Entry profile can create a portal on, create an account or profile on Saskatchewan portal under the Express Entry stream. A lot of you who are ineligible in Express Entry, which happens because of age, because of education, IELTS scores, or whatever that might be, then your scores will be slightly lower, and therefore you can choose to create your portal account on the under the OID stream, Occupation in Demand stream. In both cases, all these knock codes were invited. Lowest score was 69. So this is always a great thing to see, because so many more people will then get invited here, right? Ontario has also conducted a draw on the 14th of July. They issued 755 invitations to the targeted occupations under their Express Entry Skills trade stream. Now, Express Entry Skills trade stream is very important in the sense like these are also the individuals who probably are in the Express Entry pool under the federal skilled trades category. All right. And we all know Express Entry has not conducted a draw under the trades category for a very, very long time. So Ontario somehow gives them a bit of a relief. However, there are some criterias that Ontario has, which basically is that you would be in Ontario for your trades category experience in order to be eligible. So yeah, there are some qualifying criterias which do not help everybody. But at the end of the day, people who are inside Ontario who are eligible are definitely looking forward to this particular draw. And thankfully, 755 of you have been invited. So congratulations. They also have invited under the entrepreneur stream, which was almost on hold for quite a long time. So people who are applying under business immigration, finally, Ontario has conducted their draw as well for the entrepreneur stream, and they invited candidates on the 15th of July. Total, I don't have the number there, but the score was between 146 and 174. Score is a bit high, but at least they have reinitiated the process. They have started inviting people again. And this would, a lot of people will be looking forward to this particular stream as well. That is all that I had for you today in terms of the PNP updates. Nothing much happened in the last week or so. Those were primarily the only provinces that conducted their draw. Nothing much otherwise happened within the field of immigration. Sean Fraser is still very quiet about the postgraduate work permit extensions. We haven't heard anything on that aspect. I know a lot of you are still waiting as to what's happening with the postgraduate work permit extensions. Fingers are crossed. I hope they make the announcement. So I'm not sure what is holding it back, to be very honest. But I just hope that they make that announcement soon. Ontario's human capital priorities draw. I know a lot of you are eagerly waiting for that, and so am I. I would like to see what Ontario plays with that particular draw now that their quotas have been increased. Very small number, but it has been increased. The elections have been done. They already have their immigration minister. I'm not sure why would they be still holding back. Let's see. Hopefully the draw from Ontario should also come through soon. We only have to wait and see which way they play it out, because all this while they were sticking with a score of 467 on the top end. Now that the Express Entry draws have resumed, last draw, as you all know, was at pathetic 557. When I'm saying pathetic, I don't mean it in a bad way for the score, but the fact that it was so high, and most of us really could not find any rejoicing factor in that. Anyways, so Ontario is something which we are waiting for, obviously quite eagerly, and that is something which we'll have to wait and watch. As far as Express Entry is concerned, as we move forward, I know a lot of you are really freaking out with the way the draws have played, rather one draw that has played out, but this one draw does not mean this is how the Express Entry will look completely throughout all the following future draws that happen. It only means that this was the first draw that they conducted. They have the backlogs still. They haven't really completely processed all their backlogs. A lot of people are still waiting for their applications to be processed. They wanted to balance it out. The score was very, very high, also because there have been a lot of people in the Express Entry pool who have been waiting for a very long time. Otherwise, you wouldn't have seen such a high score under normal circumstances. So as we move forward, as we prod along, I'm sure we will see the scores coming down. Sean Fraser did indicate gradually in his tweet. So that is something which we now have come to learn, to know the meaning of in his understanding or perspective of things. And moving forward, the expectation is that the draw sizes would increase gradually, of course. My expectation for the next Express Entry draw, which would be on coming Wednesday, fingers crossed, 20th of July, to tune in live once that happens. And we are expecting that the draw would be in the range from, in my expectation, anywhere between 2,000 to 2,500 invitations, going with the way they have gone with the first draw. And the scores could very well drop to a range of about 530, 525, 530, depending on how many people are in the express entry pool with that kind of a score. That is my anticipation or expectation for this particular draw, which is coming on the 20th of July. But as I said, fingers crossed, let's see how it goes. I hope they increase the number of invitations. That would be spectacular, right? Apart from the other PNPs, nothing much really happening. There was a meeting of all the premiers just a week back, where one of the biggest discussion was about the labor shortages and about the provinces requiring the federal support in increasing their quotas for the provincial nominee programs. If and when that happens, obviously that will be a relief to a lot of people, because that basically means provinces will be able to invite more and more people to come to Canada through their nomination programs. So fingers crossed. Let's look forward to that as and when that happens. Obviously, we will bring that information and news to you once that happens. That's basically all that I had to talk to you about in this very short presentation and the briefing. But let's move on to the question and answer. But before we get there, if you're still here, give us a smash on the like button, so that Hulk smash, if possible. Absolutely smash that keyboard and let that like come through, so that this video gets on to more people out there. And obviously, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, then I really am not sure what you're waiting for, because you should already be a subscriber by now. All right, let's get going with that and with the question and answers now. Ali Raza says, I'm a candidate applicant waiting. After a long wait, I had a ghost update. My background changed to via processing. In 18 days, no changes have been made. Well, nothing much happened since December 2020. You're expecting some changes to be made in 18 days. Okay. So first of all, be more realistic with this whole thing. I know there is a lot of talk about the ghost updates, and as if ghost update is an announcement or a pre-announcement for a passport request. It's not. Ghost updates. Okay, so the system, the GCMS system, which is linked to the GC key that you see your application updates on, it's restricted with the user interface. It can only show you so many options. But there are a lot of other actions that IRCC takes on your application, whether it's information, info sharing, criminality checks, background checks, eligibility, review required, medical updates. A lot of these changes are also made in your application, for which there is no corresponding update to show on your GC key account. Therefore, what you get is a ghost update. It does not necessarily mean that it is getting approved or it is already approved. It may only mean that some action has been taken in your application on the back end, for which there is no corresponding user interface action on the front end, and hence you get a ghost update. But as we have come to see, that this ghost updates will also indicate activity. Since there is an activity in your application after a very long time, obviously you should be quite excited. But if you have waited for such a long time, 18 days is not a big deal. Just have patience, have faith, just wait for a longer period of time, and you should soon be on the other side of things and celebrating your passport request. All the best. Please throw some light on the new program for IS. I do not know what you're referring to, and TFW. And most important, what is the option for international student with 380 CRS? I do not know what you're referring to IS by. As far as TFW, temporary foreign worker programs are concerned, well, you are a temporary foreign worker after completing an international student if you have a work permit in Canada. With a CRS score of 380, I don't see that looking promising, because I also do not anticipate Canadian experience class draws. However, as Sean Fraser has indicated, they are working on a pathway for international students, foreign workers, towards permanent residency, and there is a framework that they're trying to work on, which is a permanent program that may open some doors, though I'm not sure how that program will look like, because there is no further announcement, there is no further information available on that. I know a lot of people are making TikTok videos and YouTube videos talking about this new TR to PR, but how do they know? I mean, do they have an inside telephone call with Sean Fraser or some information from IRCC? Because nothing has been announced, nothing has been published, nothing has been indicated. So at this point of time, to sort of make any kind of speculations in that aspect would be irresponsible and futile, to be very honest. So with a score of 380 CRS, what you should be looking for is probably a job offer. If you do not have one, you should be looking at a PNP option, and that probably would be a better way to go at this point of time. Can I travel to India without PR card? And then if someone is coming to India, can they come with my PR card and hand it to me? Is it possible? It is absolutely possible. A lot of people do it. There is no problem with it at all. What would you recommend to those having a CRS of 180? Interesting. If This score of 180 is with you being inside Canada. Then yes, PNP is an option. If you can get a job offer, apply for a PNP under the Federal Skills Trade or any other program that you might be eligible. If you are outside Canada, I am not sure if you are even eligible if your CRS score is only 180. So also please do check your eligibility score if you are a federal skilled worker. In my opinion, I do not think you will be eligible if your score is only 180. So do check your express entry eligibility factor points first. In addition to that, with CRS 180, you don't really have much options. You probably will be should be looking at other options for different countries, for immigrating to different countries, if at all. If not, if you're still keen on Canada, then the only possibility would be through obtaining a job offer from an employer in Canada, coming to work in Canada, getting your work experience, and then from there on looking at possible pathways. International student stream is also a possibility, but I'm not too sure if your profile is of one where you might want to come to Canada as a student. But yeah, only through a job offer would this become a possibility. Please share some info regarding AIPP. First of all, it's not AIPP anymore, it's AIP and Atlantic Immigration Program. And all the information about AIP is available on the IRCC website. I'm not sure what information you would need from me. I mean, everything is there that I would be talking about. I'm a dependent spouse and I included all documents related from my stay in that now I'm back in home country with my wife. Should we inform IRCC? Well, if this is a change of residence, then you may raise a web form and inform IRCC. There's no problem with that. While applying for an open work permit, which visa to be applied for a 7-year-old child, visit or study? In my opinion, you should be applying for a study permit for your minor child. The reason for that is this will be easier for your child to be able to get admissions and study in a school. You do not need a letter of acceptance from any school in Canada. So there is no problem with applying for a study permit. That is what you should be applying. What about spouse open work permit visa? What about it? I mean, you can still apply for it if you're eligible. If you, go ahead and apply for it. Can we expect a CEC draw? In my opinion, I don't anticipate a CEC specific draw. And the reason for that is because they have been waiting for such a long time for the all program draw, and they have finally announced the all program draws. They themselves mentioned it will be an all program draw. Therefore, I expect them to continue with an all program draw, specifically with the fact that the initial scores were at such a high level. If they will now go back to conducting a CEC specific draw, that would basically means putting again the FSW programs or all program draws on a hold, which would again add to that pool strength and completely throw the program out of the window. Also, with the expectation that Bill C-19 has been approved, it will be implemented soon. And with that, they will be able to choose category-specific candidates from the express entry pool. Therefore, at this point of time, I don't think there would be a CEC-specific draw, though if it does happen, we will still be here to rejoice about it. Can you give an info in caretaker application backlogs? No, I cannot, because I don't have any information on the caretaker You're talking about caregiver program, basically. We know that there have been applications in the backlog for almost 2 to 3 years at this point of time. IRCC has been quiet about it. There is no information coming from there at all. So it's very difficult to sort of give any indication of what's happening with the backlogs there. Spouse work permit, if you're asking about the backlogs, well, at this point of time, it's about 8 months to 12 months. It actually did go up to 44 weeks on the processing time on the IRCC website. What would you recommend to those having CRS of 380? Well, I mean, from here on, I'm not taking any more questions about specific scores and the chances. Well, I've done several videos about different score levels and what you can do and what you can consider. I would recommend that you please go and take a look at that. I'm age 33, Saskatchewan, score of 65, master's degree, score, etc., etc. Do I have a chance of getting a PNP? Please check the provincial website and their draws and previous trends, and then take a good guess about your own score and your chances. If I get my PR acceptance while I'm outside Canada, what was the question there? I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. Okay, another half question. Does getting EEITA We don't know what the question there is. All right. I would like to contact with CIO to know my application update. What is the procedure? Can you give me email and phone number? No, I cannot give you the email and phone number, obviously. To get your application update, first of all, you can check your own application account. That is pretty much your update. What you can also do is you can raise a web form and request for an update. That is pretty much it. There is no email that would give you an update. You can also call IRCC. Of course, the call center numbers are there, already available on the IRCC website. And you can also check with the call center agent your application update. Want to apply for PNP at the age of 42 years? Well, check the individual provincial website, check their program details, program criteria. If you're eligible, by all means apply. My postgraduate work permit will expire in August. Worst case scenario, if the 18-month extension did roll out by then shall I, what? Again, there is no question. There are half questions coming through. Well, if you do not have if the postgraduate work permit extension policy has not been announced, you can still apply to extend your postgraduate work permit. You will not get an approval, you will get a refusal, but that will allow you to continue working. Once you do get the refusal, you will be out of status. So when you do apply for your postgraduate work permit extension at a later date, under the new policy, when it is announced, then you will also have to apply to restore your status. I have submitted my biometrics, my passport expires. If I renew the passport beforehand, should I raise a web form or should I send for RFE? You can do both. If you have a new passport, you can raise a web form, send a copy of your new passport to IRCC. And at the same time, when you get a passport request, you get a ready for visa mail, you can send your new passport attached to your old passport and send it for stamping to IRCC. Okay. The dependent spouse has no work experience in India since 5 years of completing her degree. Will she be eligible for spouse open work permit? Can you provide some insights? Yes, there is no problem. There is no criteria or requirement for the spouse to have any prior experience, ongoing work experience, current work experience to be eligible to apply for an open work permit. You will simply just provide a brief explanation as to what your spouse intends to do once she comes to Canada. But there is no criteria, there is no requirement as such, so you will not have a problem. I have an Ontario offer, but working from BC, will I be eligible for Ontario program? Yes, you can be eligible for the program. There is no problem with that, but you will have to indicate and you will have to provide sufficient evidence and support to show that you do intend to reside in Ontario for if you're applying under the PNP for Ontario. After PPR, my passport was returned. After PPR, my passport was returned due to damage. My new passport has different address from the old passport, but similar to the mailing address. Suggest what to do? Nothing. Just get a new passport, send it to IRCC with your passport request letter, and let them do the stamping. It's not a problem. They did thousands of FST draws in Ontario, and we are still not seeing more HCP draws. Well, why would you blame Ontario? Because they think that that is the way to go. You have to keep in mind, FST draws in Ontario have to do for people who are already in Ontario, having gained work experience in Ontario. HCP is for people who are outside Ontario, outside Canada. So obviously, you would want to see Ontario giving a lot of attention or preference to people inside Canada. That has been pretty much the music line for all the programs over the last year or so. So yeah, they're pretty much doing the same thing. I hope you're doing well. My question is, I'm waiting for a newborn in a couple of weeks and I've already applied for PR online. What can I do to include my newborn in my PR? Well, what you will do is first of all, congratulations. And once your baby is born, you will raise a web form. You will inform IRCC that you've been blessed with a baby boy, a baby girl, and you've been blessed with a baby and that you would like to include your baby in your application. Ideally, IRCC will send you an application kit with some forms, some information as to what all needs to be included. You will then go on and add your baby to your application by providing those forms. IMM 0008, IMM 5406, you need the birth certificate, you need the passport copy of your child, you will also need the pictures, the medicals, and you will need to pay the fee of application fee for your child to be added to your application. And once you've got all of this, merge them all together, raise a web form, upload it through the web form, or if a placeholder is available in your application, use that. Once you have provided all this information to IRCC, they will conduct their admissibility checks, especially for a baby. It would be with regards to the medicals, and once that has been cleared, then they would be able to add your baby to your application. For a baby, you don't need, obviously, you don't need any PCC, you don't need any background checks, you don't need any biometrics. So you won't have any issues, or you won't need to do any of that. And that's just about it. This is how it is. I understand at this point of time, IRCC is taking ridiculously long to process these requests because they're not even actioning or responding to a lot of these requests. However, if you don't hear back from IRCC within a month or so, send another web form or send an email to the visa office if you know which visa office you are being processed at, and then have them complete the application. Keep in mind that if you do get a passport request and your baby is born after the passport request, you will still need to add your baby to your application. You cannot travel to Canada unless your baby has been added to your application, because your child has to undergo through the admissibility checks, especially, as I said, for the medicals. And without that, your application cannot be considered as complete. So if your baby is born, it is not optional. You have to inform IRCC. You have to get the baby added to your application, and only baby can be accompanying, non-accompanying. That's a different aspect. Okay, but the baby has to be included as your dependent in your application, and that is critical. So please do not forget about that. Please do not sort of ignore that in your rush of wanting to reach Canada. Please do not tell yourself that you will do it at a later date, you will sponsor your baby later date. That will create a lot of issues for you at a later point of time. So please make sure you add your baby before you get to Canada. And all the best. Okay, Lovepreet says, can gift deed from parents constitute 90% of a proof of funds? The thing is that those candidates who have less experience, low salary, often struggle to meet the proof of fund requirement. Does it raise a red flag that most of our proof of fund comes from a gift deed from parents and does not come from salary due to low income? Well, great question, Lovepreet. However, there is no requirement that the proof of fund should only come from your salary. There is no such requirement. So by that, what does a gift deed? So let me just also give you an indication of what does a gift deed mean. What is a proof of fund requirement? Proof of fund requirement is that these funds should belong to you. These funds cannot be borrowed. They cannot be taken as a loan from anybody, especially not from your parents or your friends or your relatives. So therefore, what does a gift deed do? Gift deed basically establishes or gives evidence or proof of the fact that this money was gifted to you. The money belongs to you. You don't have to return it. There is no obligation for you to return it to anybody. And obviously, you can choose to do whatever you wish to do with the money. And therefore, that is the concept of gift deed. So whether the gift deed is for an amount of 50%, 60%, 90%, 100%, 120%, it doesn't matter. There is no problem with it. I have seen hundreds and hundreds of applications who use gift deed without any problem. All that you need to do is you need to establish who is giving you the gift. Why is that person giving you a gift? Through the gift deed, of course. The mode of transfer, if possible, provide that document. Show your 6 months bank statement. In some cases, IRCC may, they don't always do that. In some cases, IRCC may ask for bank documents or financial documents of the person who's giving you the gift, just to establish if this money was still given to you as a gift, or if you're just trying to misuse or game the systems by just adding the cash through some other account into your parents' account and then into your account, kind of a thing. So that is the only thing that they want to avoid. They just want to make sure that the money belongs to you. It's not been taken as a loan, or it has not been borrowed. And proof of fund basically is meant for your settlement once you come to Canada. And therefore, once you have gotten the gift deed, it basically means the money belongs to you, and you should not have ideally any problem. God forbid, if you do find a problem, if your application gets refused, you will most certainly be able to challenge this decision in the federal court successfully. There will be no problem with it, because at the end of the day, the gift deed proves that the money belongs to you, and therefore IRCC should not have a reason to refuse your application with that. Ontario has been conducting draws for other streams. Why not human capital priority? Well, they don't have any beef with anybody. I'm sure about that. It is their own priority as to what they want to bring into Ontario at this point of time. At the end of the day, they have several different streams. They obviously have quotas for each individual stream. They also have the requirement, the labor market requirement for their streams. Different lobbies will promote different markets or other different requirements of different jobs to them, and they will make their choice based on that. The trades happens to be otherwise ignored category. And that's the reason why they conduct a lot of those draws as well. They have conducted a lot of human capital priority draws earlier this year and in the past as well. And I'm sure they will do that again. It's only when you are on the receiving end, I mean, when you're anticipating or waiting for it and it doesn't happen, that you start feeling that the whole world is conspiring against you. I can assure you, I'm sure that they are not looking to conspire against you. It is purely and purely based on the interest of the province. If the Ontario finds that to be of in their interest, they will conduct the draws as and when they think it's important for them. We did this. What are your views about score of 478? Should we be hopeful for EE draws? Well, I did a very detailed video of my opinion, my views on different score levels. I just did that about a couple of weeks back. So maybe just take a look at that. Okay. I have a score of 516. How much time do you think it will take to get an ITA? I am hoping pretty soon. If you haven't seen my previous video about the draws and trends, then please take a look at that. I'm a postgraduate work permit. I have an express entry profile. If I get PR accepted while I'm outside Canada, what is the process when I go back to Canada? Will I need a visa or can I enter with no issues? Well, when you submit your PR application and if you're already outside Canada, at the time of submitting your PR application, you're outside Canada. Then at the time when your application is approved, you would be issued with a PR visa, immigrant visa. You send your passport for stamping, and once it is stamped, you will travel to Canada as a permanent resident. If you are inside Canada, you can ask for the virtual, if it has already been initiated, you will ask for virtual landing, whereby they will send you an email asking you to confirm where you are currently residing. Once you confirm that you are inside Canada, they will email you your COPR after you have created your portal account, and you will then become permanent resident. In either situation, you will not have a problem. I am a dependent spouse. I was abroad and I included all documents related from my stay. Oh, we just did that. Passport sent for stamping along with letter of explanation informing again of my marriage and spouse non-accompanying. Will IRCC ask for additional documents at this stage? What shall I expect? If you have not already provided, or if IRCC did not already ask you for documents in relation to your spouse, marriage certificate, forms, in the forms you have 0008, 5406, 5562, 5669. These forms, police certificate, medicals, biometrics for your spouse in case if your spouse is accompanying. And if you haven't already provided all these documents, and of course the proof of your relationship questionnaire, if you're not already provided, then IRCC will definitely ask you for all of this. Please tell me something about Singapore Visa Office. They are not issuing PPR. Well, they are issuing PPR. They may have not issued yours yet because yours has not been processed. That doesn't mean they're not working. 481-2173 knock code, no job offer. Do I have a chance? Please do check the individual provincial website for the program details and criteria. I have submitted my passport today. How long does the stamping take? The passport stamping can take anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 weeks, depending on which visa office you have sent your passports to. While applying for open work permit, which visa to be applied? Oh, we just did this. We're getting a repeat of questions again now. Okay, let me just skip through some of these questions, which are all repeat. Does Saskatchewan, Alberta, Ontario, PNP accept gift deed? Saskatchewan does not accept gift deed, and the reason for that is gift deed is usually used to prove the source of the funds that has come to your account within the last 6 months. Saskatchewan is very, very clear. They want you to have the funds in your account for at least 3 months. So if the funds have not been there for the period of 3 months, then gift deed or no gift deed, they don't care. The fact the funds are not there, your application is ineligible. You will lose your application. You don't have a similar problem with Alberta or Ontario. They are fine with gift deeds as long as you're able to validate that the money belongs to you. We have submitted our application on 22nd June. When we will receive your AOR? Well, RNIP applications tends to move quite fast. We have seen applications with RNIP being approved within 6 months or less. So going by that, I think you should be getting yours soon. You insist C19 will be good, but what worries the most is that it will add more uncertainty. Well, the reason why I'm saying C19 would be good is because there are a lot of occupations who otherwise had no chance would be able to get a chance. Well, there is always an offset, right, for anything that happens. If the scores are going to be high, most people whose CRS score is not that high. For example, if the scores stay only above 500, everybody who's below 500, do they have a chance? No, they don't have a chance at all, right? Because in most cases, people will not even be able to get to 500 if you're outside Canada with no connection to Canada in any manner. You cannot even get to 500. So if you look at it from that perspective, category wise, you see, at the end of the day, people start taking it personally. People start, like just like you commented earlier, do they have a beef against us? So you're taking it personally. Don't take it personally. Nobody is coming out for you or thinking against you or has something against you. At the end of the day, and you have to keep this in mind, at the end of the day, the immigration programs are meant to serve the interest for Canada. The provincial nominee programs are intended to serve the interest of the provinces, not vice versa. Immigration programs are not meant to serve your interest. PNP programs are not meant to serve your interest. Yes, if you do get the benefit, by the way, while they are serving their interests, then you are the lucky guy or the lucky girl. But don't start expecting things to be in your favor every single time. It won't work like that. Okay, none of the immigration for none of the countries work like that. It's always for their interest, for their advantage, and that's what they will always do. So stop feeling that things will get worse or not get worse, or uncertainty or no uncertainty. Right now, do you have any certainty for anything? Do you know what the next CRS score is going to be? You don't know. So that's the whole point, right? So at the end of the day, what Canada thinks is best for them, the way they want. For example, if they think that they should issue 10,000 invitations because that's what they need to do, they will issue 10,000 invitations. Were you expecting that? No. Tomorrow, if they think we don't need even 1,000 invitations and they choose to issue only 500 invitations, can you sort of hold it against them? You can't. I mean, you can obviously make a hue and cry and sort of, we can all be angry about it, but that's about it. That's all you can do. At the end of the day, Canada will choose to do what they want to do, what they have to do for the advantage that they need to get out of this whole immigration program. So once you've understood that, then you can stop worrying about whether it's going to be uncertain, whether it's going to be good or not going to be good. Bill C-19 was meant to give advantage to Canada, to take advantage of the different categories of labor markets which they otherwise are not able to. For example, in express entry, people who are below the score of 450 have no chance, below the score of 460 have no chance. I mean, but does that mean that they don't have good experience? Does that mean they cannot add to or rather contribute to the Canadian interests? Of course they can. They may have the work experience, they may have the education, the age is not on their side, or they may have not completed a PhD, or they may have not been able to score CLB 9, but they can do good with CLB 8. So does that mean Canada doesn't need them? Does that mean Canada cannot take advantage of them? Of course, Canada can. And therefore, the categories, the Bill C-19 will allow them to take advantage of this pool of people, which is very rich in their work experience, probably in their education, but for whatever reason, they were not able to get the high CRS score. I think it's pretty good. I think it will help a lot of people who otherwise had no chance. Yes, obviously, in this whole scenario, some otherwise scores might take a hit. Okay, CRS scores might not come down as quickly as you would anticipate because of the large number of invitations being issued. But overall, it will benefit. It will benefit the pool and the people. We did this. Do you think the scores will drop to 480? In my opinion, yes, I think the scores will drop to 480. Obviously, with the fact that IRCC continues to issue invitations in at least significant numbers of 3,500 at least. We just did this. Okay, we're getting a lot of repeat of the questions. I'm going to skip a few of these so I can get to the other questions. What would be the perfect time for medicals? Do we need to do it upfront after creating profile, and that it would be valid for 1 year? You don't need to do your medicals after creating a profile. You only need to do your medicals once you have received your invitation to apply, because that is the time you will be able to use your medicals for your application processing. So hold back onto completing your medicals and do it only once you have received an invitation to apply. Does Saskatchewan accept fixed deposit as proof of funds? Yes, they do. There is no problem with that. I would love to read that, but I can't because I can't. I can only read Hindi or English, unfortunately, at this point of time. I'm trying to get more languages added, but I don't speak those languages. Okay. Do you see hope? I see a lot of hope, but it's up to you to check your scores and the trends. Please watch my earlier video to see what I think about different score ranges. I have put the self-employed program in 2019. The GCK results 100% file complete, but status still pending. Please help. What can I do? First of all, the GC key 100% file complete is irrelevant. It doesn't mean anything. It is a gimmick. It is just supposed to run for a period of time. It's like a timeline which runs without any specific relevance of the application being processed. If you wish to check what is happening with your application, please order GCMS notes so you can understand at what stage IRCC is in processing your application. Last week, you said someone with a CRS score does not have a chance in EE at all, given the Bill C-19 is passed. I don't think you can just spread negativity. You just said that again now. Well, okay, so I said it now. If you think it's negative, well, tough luck. I don't think I'm being negative, but if you feel I'm being negative, well, what you can do is click on the exit button, switch off the screen, and go look at some nice TikTok videos. Me and my spouse have corporate sales manager and human resources professional NOC. Which NOC should we proceed for human capital program? You can check the earlier draws that Ontario has conducted in the past, and if you think your NOC is one where they have been inviting, you can choose to have that NOC code as your primary NOC. Also, between you and your spouse, you both can have separate Express Entry profiles. You can be a primary applicant. You can have your primary NOC in your Express Entry profile. And you can add your spouse to that. And your spouse can be a primary applicant in a different profile where your spouse can choose their own primary occupation. No job offer or relative, do I have a chance? Any PNP you would recommend? Again, as I just mentioned, for PNPs, please refer to individual provincial websites where you can see their program details and criteria, and you will be able to apply accordingly. Is it true that applicants with masters have a high possibility of getting PNP nomination? Well, the truth with that is that with masters, you will be able to get additional points. With additional points, you will be able to get the invitation faster. And with that, the possibility of getting a PNP nomination goes up. Yes. But apart from that, just because you have a master's, will they process your application faster? No. Just because of the fact that you have a master's degree, you may be eligible to get additional points in that specific stream or in that specific program. That is what will make a difference. Can I exit and enter Canada with a valid TRV but an implied status of postgraduate work permit? Yes, you can. There is no problem with that. How much will job offer plus 1 year experience give the score 100 or 50? Some are saying 100, some are saying 50. Well, you can check the CRS grid point and you can see how much you will get for that. For 1 year Canadian work experience, you get 40 points if you're not married. For a job offer, you get 50 points if the LMIA or the ICT work permit where you have completed your work experience is NOC 0A or B. Now, in addition to that, you might also be eligible to some skills transferability points. So what you need to do is you need to go to the CIC website, search for CIC grid point, CRS grid point, and then check on that what you get points for different factors. I did an HF in December, still no response. It was for a client who had an issue when arriving at Pearson on a visitor visa. Should I have selected CBSA at the department rather than IRCC? Yes, absolutely. You did that for a client. So are you a consultant? Are you an RCIC? Well, again, if you did do a ATIP notes, then obviously you have to do an ATIP note with respect to the department, that action, that process that you are looking to get your ATIP for. In this case, if it was with an issue about a visit visa, then obviously it was handled by CBSA, and therefore you should be asking for the CBSA notes, not IRCC, because IRCC would not be making any notes on it. Is it okay to go with non-accompanying spouse who's already in Canada on a visitor record and include my spouse during bridge work permit application after ITA? You can, but hold on. This is complicated. So your spouse is not accompanying you, but you want to add your spouse into your bridge work permit application. Is that what you're saying? Because first of all, you will have to then also explain to IRCC why is your spouse not accompanying you, but you're still adding your spouse onto the bridge open work permit application. It's tricky. As far as the bridge open work permit application is concerned, it doesn't talk about accompanying or non-accompanying, but it does talk about the fact that your spouse, that you should be working, you should be employed. So if you want to go as per that criteria, you can definitely apply. Now, as far as non-accompanying is concerned, that is something that you will have to explain in your application. But if the question is only about bridge open work permit for your spouse, you can. There is no criteria that stops you from applying. As long as you are working, you have NOC 0A or B job, and you have at least 4 pay stubs to provide to show that you are eligible to apply for your spouse's open work permit. I'm on a closed work permit, want to get my fiance right after marriage without waiting. Do you suggest a visit visa? Well, that is the only option. You don't have any other option at all. Okay. Sierra score 489, French speaker. Great. Looks like a good one to sort of have. Please take questions. Well, I'm taking questions as they are on my feed. I'm not choosing Facebook or YouTube. It's just as they're on my feed. Received IT on the 8th June. Should I get upfront medical or just upload a letter stating I will get the medical done when requested? Well, IRCC very clearly has told people that people who have got invitations after the 6th of July should get an upfront medical done. If you got an ITA earlier than a 6th of July, then you can choose to do your medicals upfront. I would have done it upfront because I'm expecting 6 months processing time right now. So with 6 months processing time, if my medicals are already being provided, if they're already there, I know I will not waste time in IRCC sending me a letter, then getting my medicals done, then they're getting updated, then taking time. I would actually, in my opinion, I would get it done upfront. But if you wish to if you wish to do it later, then you can. There is no problem. Got ADR with only period of employment position held for current employment, a specific case. Just want to, I'm sorry, I just cannot understand that question at all. I mean, there are just too many short words. If you're asking how important it is that HR will give an exact letter, well, as long as you can prove 3 factors: your period of work, so period of work basically means from which period of time to which period of time were you working, how many hours per week you were working. That is the first factor that you need to establish and prove. Second is that this was paid employment. So your salary, what was the current remuneration or remuneration at the time of your working, how were you paid, do you have pay slips, pay stubs, bank statements that show salary transfer or income tax returns. All that will then validate and prove your period of that this was paid employment. And third, and most importantly, is your knock code. You have chosen a knock code, and your duties and responsibilities that should be indicated in your employment letter should match with the knock code. If there are no duties and responsibilities, then you have to find an alternative way to provide a third-party document which is valid, which can be verified to prove that you did indeed perform those duties. If you can prove these 3 factor points, you will not have a problem. There is no specific format as such, but IRCC needs that information and they need to validate and verify that information. So you will need to provide that information regardless of what format you provided in. I called the agent. Where is my application? Well, if they say it's in London, then this is in London. Yeah, that's what I can tell you. You can also raise a web form and you can request them to give you the information as such as to what is your processing visa office. As per my last call, only security is pending, rest is complete. When can I expect my PPR? I don't know. You'll have to order your GCMS notes and wait and watch when it gets processed. When can Ontario draws happen? Hopefully soon. Both me and my wife are in Canada, as our extension applications have been refused given the 90 days to restore. What shall we do now? Please suggest. Well, if you have 90 days to restore, then you can wait. You now have the option to wait. And the reason why you can choose to wait is because the new postgraduate work permit extension policy will be announced soon. Now, I know we do not know how soon, because this should have happened in June. We are already in July. It still hasn't happened, but obviously it's in the works. It will be announced. When it will be announced, at that point of time, you can choose to apply for the new postgraduate work permit extension and also restore your status. I'm absolutely sure they will allow the restoration to be backdated. So basically, people who have even exceeded the 90 days period of restoration, even they will be allowed to do that. But you shouldn't have to take a chance with that. In the worst case, if you do have to restore your status because you just cannot wait and you're freaking out and you're worrying what's happening, you can always restore your status and change it to a visitor, which in that aspect, you will then have a legal status in Canada and you don't have to worry about it. But you have 90 days. I would ask you to wait till the policy announced and then apply for the new extension of work permit and restoration of your status. Or rather, it has to be done both together anyways. I have a postgraduate work permit, got a high wage job offer from an Ontario tech company. Does my employer need to prove they couldn't hire Canadian to give me an LMIA? Yes, they have to. If they are issuing an LMIA, then they have to prove they were unable to find a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident in Canada who could do and who could take up that job. My CRS score is 324. Am I eligible for Canadian PR? You do not check your eligibility from the CRS score. You check your eligibility from the eligibility criteria and eligibility factor scores, which is 67 points. So federal skilled worker, if you have 67 points or more, you are eligible. If you have less, you will not be eligible. There are also other factor points to consider in terms of eligibility. As a federal skilled worker, you should have at least 12 months of continuous work experience in one NOC, which is NOC 0, A or B. And this work experience, should be within the last 10 years. Obviously, just with 1 year of work experience, you will get only 9 eligibility points. So you need to check in combination with your education. Do you have the equivalency? Do you have the IELTS scores? Do you have the work experience? In combination, check the eligibility points. If it is 67 points or more, you are eligible. If not, then you will need to either improve your scores, or you will need to figure out a program where you don't need express entry. Okay. Should I wait or should I retake IELTS? Well, in my opinion, if you can improve your scores, no matter at what score you are at this point of time, you should do it. On a maintained status after postgraduate work permit, got my ITA, have not submitted my file yet. Should I apply for bridge open work permit after AOR or extension under the 18-month public policy? If I was in your place, I would have applied for the extension of public policy because that gives me 18 months. And I know for a fact that would get processed anyways, but the choice is yours. I want to apply for immigration. Age is 42 with 15 years of experience and 14 years bachelor's degrees. In my opinion, I think you will need a job offer from an employer in Canada. Without that, it might not work. So yeah, take a look at that. Can we change a NOC before getting an ITA? You can change your NOC as many times as you want before ITA, even after ITA. There's no problem. I work as an Apple support as supervisor or manager. Am I eligible? And I'm graduate and got 77778. Yes, I mean, in my opinion, I think you will be eligible. Again, you need to check the eligibility scores of 67 points or more. That's number one. And number two, you will need to check if you are eligible under all the other criteria of that specific program that you're looking to apply under. Human resources professional, score of 461. What is your view? When can we see the draw for human capital and what is the score range now? I do not know when the human capital draws will happen. When they happen, it will happen. I can't tell you if the NOC code of 1121 will get included. And also, I can't tell you if CRS 461 would have a chance there. Historically, IRCC has always pegged their higher range 1 point below the express entry all program draw, which was at 557 now. So if they were to conduct a draw today, it's highly possible that their peg high range is at 556. Again, the low range will depend on how many invitations they want to issue and to which NOC codes they want to issue the invitations. All this information is only available with Ontario, and as such, anybody else who gives it would be just purely speculating. I did not get the meaning of 69 score. Isn't it 3 to 4 digits like 580 or something? Well, for people who are not Canadian experience class, so if you do not have work experience inside Canada, then you are a federal skilled worker or federal skilled trade category. For a federal skilled worker, you need to first score 67, not 69, 67 points under the eligibility score. Let me see if I can show that to you. All right, so what you can do is you can search for this 6 selection factors for federal skilled worker program. It's on the IRCC website. Now, as you will scroll down, it tells you if you score 67 points or higher, you may qualify for the federal skilled worker program. That basically means you need to, because the factors to assign your score is out of an overall score of 100. And out of this, you have to score 67 points or more in order to be eligible as a federal skilled worker program, under the federal skilled worker program. Obviously, if you are a Canadian experience class, you are not required to go through this eligibility factors. This is primarily only for the Federal Skilled Worker Program. And in this is different than the CRS score. The 580, the 480, the 380, the 300 or 3-digit score that you're looking at, that is different. That is your ranking score. Once you are eligible, you're in the express entry pool, then you get a rank. That is your ranking score. That tells you how far up or down below the rank you are within the express entry pool based on what they are drawing out for the invitations. But this is your 67 points. And if you go down, this will tell you what you get points for. You get a maximum points for language skills. You will get points for your IELTS scores. These are calculated individually. So if you have a CLB 7, CLB 8, you can mix and match for both. For each factor, you will get a specific point. And then again, you can get additional points for second language or French in this case. You will get separate points for education. For education, you can check individual criteria. For masters, you get 23. For bachelors, you get 21. For 2 or more degrees, you get 22 points. For work experience, you get a maximum of 15. Again, you have to choose. If you have 1 year of work experience, you get 9. For 2 or 3, you get 11. For 4 to 5, you get 13, and so on and so forth. Age also gives you points. Up to the age of 35, your points remain the same, which is 12. And then it starts reducing and goes to 0 when you hit after 46. Then additionally, you also have points for arranged employment. You have points for if your spouse has also taken IELTS and scored at least CLB4, and you can get those 5 to 10 additional points as well for adaptability. So these are the different factor scores that you can get for which you can check your eligibility. By all means, do take a look at it. You can always Google or research 6 selection factors, which is right at the top here. 6 selection factors. If you Google for this, if you search for this, you will be able to find this page and you can check your scores accordingly. Okay, I'm going to take last few questions before I scoot off. I need to run. I have a couple of appointments to sort of go to. AZ, I'm sorry, thank you for the super chat, but there is no question there. I'm just going to clear off some super chats which have been sitting here. We did this already, thankfully. Just scrolling down to see if I've missed any of these. No, okay, none of them here. Oh, there's a few here. After the visa is stamped, how much time do we get to land in Canada? It is usually 12 months from the time that they have assessed your medicals, but the date would be mentioned in your COPR or your visa. It is not 6 months, it is not 9 months, it is not more, it is not less. It is entirely dependent on your medicals. So depending on when you have completed your medicals, that would be the date that will be given to you, or the date they have reassessed your medicals for the extension for 12 months. Any update for postgraduate work permit extensions? I have already applied for the extension on May 7th and I'm on implied status now. Well, your application that you have already applied for extension, that will be refused. The new postgraduate work permit extension policy has yet to be announced. It has not been announced at this point of time. Fingers crossed, I hope they will be announcing it soon. Once that is available, then we'll all have a better understanding of what the criteria and program requirements would be. Please help me understand, with the current CRS score, how our undergraduate who studied within Canada and have valid work experience are to do. I'm sorry, but I don't understand your question at all. If you have studied in Canada, you have Canadian work experience, that gives you additional points. Therefore, you have that segment where you get additional points for your work experience in Canada, and you therefore have additional CRS score. If your score is still not high enough at that point of time, then the situation would be that you would have to look forward to the new program that IRCC is developing for international students and foreign workers, which is also part of the mandate letter that the immigration minister had. Again, I can't give you the details because I don't know them. IRCC hasn't disclosed that at all. And another option would be you look at the PNP options. You look at options of job offers from the employer and use that then to apply for permanent residence through the PNP options. Okay, taking the last couple of questions before I scoot off. My spouse NOC is 5221, which is for photographer, and mine is 0124. Should I become the primary applicant for PNP since our score is 464? Again, what have applied in November? I'm not sure what you mean by have applied. I'm sure what you're talking about is creating an express entry profile. Again, look at the different PNPs you're targeting. If the primary NOC, or if the choice of the NOC code in that province is something which you can choose as your primary NOC code, then by all means do. If your spouse is a photographer, 5221, and if he's self-employed, then you should be looking at the self-employed immigration category for which there is no requirement for scores or anything at all. If you're eligible, you prepare a good business plan, you prepare your documentation, and you would be able to apply directly. Take a look at the self-employed immigration program. Do you think with time the Canadian immigration is going to get easier like the pre-COVID times, or will it get more tougher? I don't think immigration ever got easier or tougher. You see, again, it's a matter of perspective. At a time, 3 years later, 2017 is what I call Canadian immigration's golden year, because that's when the CRS score went right to 413 at the bottom. It's a matter of perspective for the reason because at that point of time, there were only 42,000 people in the express entry pool. Today, there are more than 220,000 people in the express entry pool. So the corresponding difference is what we have all studied in our school, in our economics class, in our and in our civics class, that it's a demand and supply. There is more demand. The supply is limited. Though at that point of time, IRCC was inviting only 300,000 people. Now they're inviting 450,000 people per year. But that does not correspond to how many more people are now showing interest to come to Canada. At any point of time, whenever there will be more interest, more people will want to come to Canada. It basically means the demand has gone up. The supply in terms of the quotas and supply in terms of how many people they can invite is going to remain lesser or limited, or will not increase in the same ratio as the demand is increasing. And therefore, it is always going to look tougher now than it was later. That is as simple as I can explain it. But it doesn't mean that the programs have become difficult. The programs have become more harsher. It just basically means there are more people who are interested to come. And for people who find it more difficult, it's because there are other people who have a better profile, better profile, which Canada is interested in at that point of time. And therefore, they will have a better chance. They stand a better chance to get invited than you, because your profile may not be as attractive for the Canadian immigration programs. So this basically, if you can understand, then you would know pre-COVID, post-COVID doesn't really make any difference at all. It's all about the demand and supply. Right. Thank you so much. The questions are never ending, and I wish I could answer all those questions that are here. If I haven't answered your question, then please come back on the video, and on the comments below, on the video itself, you can put your questions. I will come back and try and answer to as many questions as possible. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining in. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We would like to see those numbers adding up. And if there are so many of you here, then you most definitely must smash the like button so that we can get the video to most people out there. And also, if you haven't followed us on Instagram, then please do. It's a fun place to be. And we're always posting a lot of good content there as well. Once again, thank you very much. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you next time.